Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
I almost launched without greeting people. I'm so excited that we have our friend and talented guy, Walt Blau, with us today. And the theme is you can learn something from everyone. And Walt is professional at that because he has a world-renowned podcast called Walt's Kitchen Table. And you just may be surprised what you effortlessly discover about yourself and others.
Just by listening.
There you go. Sean and I do finish each other's sentences. And that really is the thing. You need to listen. Because if you don't listen, you don't learn anything. You just repeat what you've said to yourself. And it's a little bit like a boring rerun.
A lot of us listen to hear what we already know and disregard what sounds foreign. So we add into our already knowledge bank new information as though it's old information, and then it becomes old information.
You know, one of the things I love about our Living Made Easy seminars on Saturdays and then the occasional Tuesday evening ones is they're bilingual, and they are German and English. And I must admit my scope of German has increased over the years. Not that I would know how to form a sentence, but I can pick out certain words. But I love listening to hear what's being said. And from time to time, things pop up as words I recognize. But the act of listening itself is a gift.
It brings you into the current moment of your life. But if you're thinking about what's being said to see whether you agree or disagree with it, chances are it will not bring you into the current moment because you'll be busy thinking about what you already know.
The other thing that people often do instead of listening is try to apply information to themselves in order to improve what they mistakenly think is broken.
Well, we could pretend that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, and then you could just listen to listen rather than to get somewhere.
You could enjoy the timbre of our voices. You could enjoy Walt, what he has to say, how he forms his words, any of it. You don't have to do anything.
But listen.
But listen, it's enough. That was a good introduction of him, don't you think?
I think so.
Shall we take him?
Yes. Walt, where are you?
That's actually a really good question.
Hey, I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Hey, and where are you in time and space?
Time and space, I'm in Jersey City, sitting in the cab of my rig.
And for those, we have a lot of people.
What's a rig?
Who wouldn't understand rig because they don't have American colloquialisms.
That is true. So my full-time job is I'm an area field manager for U-Haul, which is a moving company. And I have a 17-foot truck full of tools and equipment so I can fix U-Haul trucks that are out and about. So my job is to make sure that these trucks are mechanically sound, so when you rent them, everything goes smooth.
So the truck you're sitting in is called a rig.
Yeah, it's so in America, I guess, I don't know anywhere else in the world where I don't know how they describe it, but a rig, a lot of people call it a tractor trailer, the big long trucks and that pull a trailer. But in U-Haul terms, my truck is considered a rig. So
Got it.
They just start using the word rig, that's engulfed in our world. So,
and I was aware that your job is managing this area, but I had no clue that you
were like the head mechanic.
Yeah, everything in my route. So on in my territory, I do light mechanical. So I can do tires and doors and windows and an alternator and some other stuff. And then we have another truck called an MRU, which is mobile repair unit, where they do heavy mechanical.
Right, more complex stuff.
Yeah, yep.
How old were you when you drove your first little rig, and what was it?
Oh, oh man. So that's funny you bring this up. I just bought my son Logan his first rig. He got a Tonka truck. So he loves it. But me personally, my dad tells a story. I was very little. I don't remember it. I remember seeing it in home movies. You know those Hess trucks, the gas trucks, the toy truck?
That's oil, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, Hess oil. So I used to take these Hess trucks and run them on the old style radiator until the wheels broke off them. So I until they broke off. So I've been driving rigs for a long time.
And how old were you when you first sat behind the wheel of a tractor or something or other?
I was about 11 when I drove my first tractor. It's about the same age when I drove my first car. And I was riding dirt bikes and four wheelers since I was even younger than that.
Wow.
And
So
snowmobiles. We were big with snowmobiles.
you're probably good at mechanics light then.
Yeah, I can get things down the road if they break. We'll go with that. And the other thing too is I just truly enjoy it. I really like being able to put my hands on equipment and correcting what has been broken and getting whatever that piece of machinery is down the road or operating again if it doesn't go down the road.
You don't mind if I ask
No,
another question, do you?
no, I don't mind at all. I'm
So
enjoying
this
it.
is the question that comes to mind for me. I don't recall exactly when we first met you, and I certainly don't even remember who introduced you to us. But I do recall a Costa Rica adventure you came to us. And my experience of you at that time, you were a very different person, as in how you were being hard on yourself. That, you know, most of us come into this game of living in the moment with a series of regrets and a series of resentments. Regrets. And you just seem so radically more you, and as if those things fell away. And I'm just wondering if you could share with our listeners a little of your journey or anything you'd like to say about that, because I have a feeling some of the people who are listening are relatively new to transformation and they judge who they are and where they are and how they are.
And who they were and how they were and how they've been.
Ain't that the truth? Well, Ariel, I remember the exact moment I met you for the first time. It was, yeah, you made an impact on me. At the time I was dating my, Valerie, who is my wife now, but we were dating and she introduced me to you guys. And to be honest with you, I was not in a good frame at that time, but I was like, if this is what this woman wants me to do for me to have sex with her, I'm all about it. So
you had good priorities there. All right.
no, 100%, 100%. And I walked into New York because you guys were having seminars in the city, in New York City. And I got off the elevator and Val introduced me to you first, Ariel. And you said, it's nice to meet you. And you looked at me and you went, you're carrying a lot of weight. And the way you looked at me, and of course, I deflect with comedy. And I said, oh man, I've been going to the gym. What are you talking about? And you said, that's not the weight that I'm speaking of. And that got my wheels turning. And for the next couple weeks, the first time in one of your seminars, my attitude was, well, that's kind of, you guys are up talking and people come up and talk. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. That's a bunch of shit. Oh, that's kind of cool. That was my first attitude. And then as the weeks went on, you're talking to people and meeting people. My attitude changed to, that's cool. And then instead of that's a bunch of shit, it went to somebody finds value in that. To me personally, I don't find value in what they're talking about at this very moment. But what about the person sitting in front of me? What about the person sitting next to me? They probably find value in that. And the part that I find value in, they might say, I don't find value in that, or whatever attitude. I can't speak for them. So whatever attitude they had. So that started my journey to look at things in the moment and start looking at things I've done in the past. I have a questionable past. I've done some crazy things. I was carrying that around. I did carry a lot of guilt. And because of learning that there ain't nothing I can do about it, and you guys have taught me that, and, the community and speaking with people in the community and living it has taught me that there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm to the point now, whatever happened this morning, I mean, yeah, we can go to what happened 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, a moment ago, but I'm even to the point now, what happened this morning, some things happened this morning at work. Well, there ain't nothing I can do about it now. I just move forward and take what's in front of me and handle it next. So that's kind of a recap of my attitude when I first met you guys. I don't know how else to explain it, but that was kind of, it's fun to look back at that now. And yeah, I know you want to say something, Shai. I can see it.
It's just that I'm kind of inspired by who you are, and that includes all of who you've been, because that all brought you to who you are. And see, I see this great man who has thought negative of himself. And that what I just said could apply to just about anybody listening in, women included, because we're all trying to do better, or so we think. And our past is over, can't do anything about it, bringing it up to work on. Which, it's really interesting that you mentioned the past, because, about 45 years ago, or thereabouts, I was working for an organization leading their seminars. And I was thinking back over it, and I was a very different person then, and I'm the same person now. I before I went to work for them, I lived in the Maine woods without electricity or indoor plumbing for 5 years. Maine is cold. I heated and cooked with wood. I find myself these days cutting firewood with a chainsaw.
Shai's like one of those Zen parables, before I was enlightened, I chopped
wood and carried water.
And now similar,
Right, now I carry water and I chop wood, but I'm still chopping wood, you see.
Only now the water he's carrying is little water dishes for our cat.
Right. In any event, you've evolved into the person you always were. And you needed that earlier person to protect you because you were vulnerable. Nobody wants to admit they're vulnerable.
No.
I also see that it gives you a huge measure of compassion for just about everybody you meet.
Because you can say, I've been there. I know what that's like.
I know that one.
Yeah. And then I have brought that up quite a bit. When I talk to people, they'll bring up certain things and that they've done, and they, or their past. And I get it, like with being an alcoholic, they say I battled alcohol, being an alcoholic. And I said, I know how you feel. And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, I've been sober for about 4 years now. What? I didn't know that about you. Okay, now you do. And if I did it, it might give you a blueprint to maybe inspire you to do the same thing.
One of the things I see that I'm not surprised people go, you really? Because while I've seen Alcoholics Anonymous be a really wonderful springboard for so many people to find their sobriety, there's also seems to be a basic tenet that a lot of people embrace, and that is that I'm always recovering. And so there's always at least a basis for a lot of people.
So you're never over
I'm
it.
broken, I'll be broken forever. And I imagine that alcohol is something that will never be compatible with you and your well-being. But I don't see you walking around day to day as a recovering anything. Am I inaccurate, or do you think of yourself as a recovering?
No, I don't. No, and that really hit home the way you guys just described that. And I've never looked at it that way, of that I'm hanging on to it, that I'm broken, that I'm an alcoholic, that I'm carrying that with me. I've never thought of it that way.
It's like this morning. You see, you've learned to drop your past to be where you are. And no two things can occupy the same wall at the same time. So you can either be in your rib doing mechanical things, or you can be thinking about how you used to be.
Mm-hmm.
How you used to be does not make you a better mechanic,
well,
or manager.
I'm not saying, I'm not making Alcoholics Anonymous wrong, but I imagine that a lot of people in their bid to become healthy and have well-being resist having been an alcoholic. And what you resist persists, grows stronger, and dominates your current life. So even if you're not drinking, then drinking still becomes an umbrella under which you live.
Look, the truth of the matter is, I was an alcoholic. I never went to Alcoholics Anonymous, but at a certain point in my life, I was very much into alcohol and drugs. And that was just a fact. And the definition of an alcoholic is somebody who needs that. And I needed that. And I stopped like that. I stopped smoking after many years like that. It was not a long drawn out process of getting over it. It was just, it's done.
You know what? Oh, go ahead. You know what? It just really hit me with the way we're talking about this, because Alcohol Anonymous, the meetings and all that stuff, that helps people. Of course, it helps people. And like you, Ariel, I am not degrading it a bit, but it wasn't for me. I have a buddy that helped me when I decided to get sober. He helped me, and he's a real good buddy of mine. And that was awesome. And he took me to a couple meetings, and then I started to go to meetings by myself. And I was like, this is not working. This you guys are like, everybody here is like Debbie Downer. Everybody's all somber and like, woe is me. And I'm like, I can't be around this crowd.
See, life is to be celebrated, Walt.
I agree. I 100% agree on that. So again, I'm not downplaying Alcoholics Anonymous, but it wasn't for me. This community helped me tremendously, and just the atmosphere. And of course, my rock star wife is, there's no words for that, but the thing is, she even says that, sure, she was with me, but I did it. So she's like, you can give me credit, but you're the one that did it. I support you, of course. But yeah, I really like that, Ariel, how you brought that up about carrying that with you, the resist, what you resist persists. And I think that now that I'm thinking of people in that program and even other people that I know that are battling alcoholism, they're resisting it.
That's right. And when you resist it, it persists, it grows stronger, and it dominates your thoughts. So
Yep.
you're not drinking and thinking of drinking. But you see, you've done something, I'm clear you have. You've left it alone. So you don't think each day I'm a recovering alcoholic. You don't have this conversation about, oh, I can't have a drink. You don't even think about drinking at this point.
No.
I mean, you may, if you're at some sort of party or something, the idea may come by. Like sometimes somebody's drinking some brandy or Courvoisier or something like that, and I would like to have a little, but I don't.
Yep.
It's that simple. I have the thought. I used to like that.
I liked how you put it, Walt, when you said you were speaking to this person who was surprised that you had an alcohol issue back 4 years ago. And you said, well, maybe how I'm being or how I am can be a blueprint for you. Sean and I recently went to an event, a wedding that was an alcohol soaked event. And people who were there got so incredibly drunk that some of them had blackout events. Other people were sitting at the table nonverbal. It was and a lot of the alcohol was very she. It was good alcohol and plenty of it. And because it was a wedding, we had a champagne glass and they kept trying to put champagne in it. So Shai and I
put water
in ours so that when it came time to toast, we could toast with a glass. And it also kept them from trying to put alcohol in our glass, and we put water in all our glasses because they weren't taking them away. It was part of the setup.
Right.
And a couple of days later, someone was talking to me about themselves and their family members. And they said, well, you and Shia had no problem with just putting water in your glass. You seem to have no problem with it. And that person hasn't been drinking since then. It was like a flip of a switch where they didn't have to do something to conform, and they recognized it, their consumption wasn't working for them. And part of it too is we didn't care whether or not this individual drank or didn't. And when they saw something neutrally, it popped. There was a whole other possibility.
Now, one thing I did learn when I stopped drinking, this started settling in with me, and I feel it's benefited me greatly, is I believe, this is my opinion, that a lot of people, like in the situation you were talking about, drink because they don't want to be judged by other people. Even though they might not want to drink or drink as much, they would rather go with that than be judged by, hey, why aren't you drinking? Hey, drink this, But that, to me, I see that. And when I finally...
That's true.
When I finally truly stopped caring what other people think of me and what I'm doing, it's pretty freeing. I
remember once we went to a restaurant and they kept bringing over wine. It was their whole shtick, wine. And we kept saying, no, we don't want, please take the glasses away. And finally, when they brought another and they leaned in like, this is a really good one, Shai turned to the fellow and said, I'm an alcoholic. And the guy went, oh, and then they left us alone. But it was like, there's a social thing that does go along with a lot of things, and you're not cool if you don't have part of it, and you do have to risk being judged.
Oh yeah. I mean, we definitely at that wedding were judged for not drinking because they felt self-conscious.
Like people assume
that we judge them the way they judge themselves.
And I've seen it even stronger at fishing lodges where people charter a plane and bring cases of wine and they're pairing it with everything, and we're not having any of it. There's a discomfort, they become self-conscious, even though there's really, that's their life prerogative, their passion. It's just
Right.
not mine.
Mhm. No, I agree with what Shia said too, that they're putting on you what they think of themselves.
Well, that's the way it is with most people. Most people think that you think like they think.
Mhm.
And because that's the only way they can think. So they think you think like they think. And if they're hard on themselves, they think you're going to be hard on them too.
I remember when Sean and I we were in Costa Rica. It was early days of leading courses. So we were still leading them down in Manuel Antonio, which is on the beach. And we were still drinking at that time. And we went into a place to buy some wine. I even remember it was a Chilean wine. And the proprietor came and yelled at us. If you're going to get that, bring it up front. And I realized that it never occurred to me that a lot of people would go in there to steal things, because I don't think that way. And I realized he was so worried because we were taking a while.
His defensiveness was because he's used to having shoplifters.
And so when you said, people, Shia, that people think that you're going to think the way they think. It was such a cool eye-opener to see that what he dealt with every day was people going into a store
to rip him off,
to steal things, and it was his normal fare. And I don't know, I like seeing what else is possible. It's kind of fun. Even
like in my position, my job, I have my territory is in not so desirable neighborhoods. And the theft and vandalism is very, very high. And then there's some coworkers that I have that in their territory, you could basically leave the key to the truck in the ignition with a note on the door saying, hey, bring it back when you're done. Just because their territory, the people that live there, would use it and bring it back, kind of like an honor system, which that would never happen in my territory. So it's fun to sit and talk with my coworkers, because I see them once a month. We meet once a month and we swap stories. They're like, hey, I ran into this and this is what a guy did. And then I tell them the crazy story of a lady flew in from Chicago to pick up a 10-foot truck. They went to open the back up and two homeless ladies were naked in the back having sex.
Yeah, that's good.
And the lady looked at my dealer, the guy that rents the truck, and goes, clean this up. I got to get going. And I was like, she didn't complain. She goes, nope. And I was like, okay. So those are the things I deal with, but yeah, it's just fun. I enjoy it.
That's a great story to end this segment with.
I think that definitely got people thinking.
You'll come back with for the second half?
Oh, 100%. Yep.
Awesome. We'll be back with Walt.
So come on back.
And don't miss
being here.
It's time for our listener feedback spotlight.
Okay, so here we go.
We're going to hear from one of our listeners about how transformation has impacted her life or his life. Let's see.
Yeah. And if you'd like to learn more about what we're up to, you could register for any of our upcoming virtual courses.
Or sign up for our newsletter. Just visit
transformationmadeeasy.com.
It really is easy.
It is easy if you know the way.
Hi, I'm Maike from Düsseldorf, and transformation for me brought me to a point in my life where I really enjoy being with my partner, and I really truly love him. And I would say without transformation, that would not be possible.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ayrell and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Our next Living Made Easy seminar is not until February because Saturday we're in Costa Rica. So yoo-hoo, woohoo to all those people who are joining us either on the 15th or the following week or for both weeks. We're really excited that we get to do it this year. Our next weekend seminar
is Passion, Revitalize Your Life. And that's March 5th and 6th.
Soon we'll be announcing another course we're doing at Camp Tecumseh. It'll be at the end of April, beginning of May. It'll be another in-person course. We don't have all the details together.
It's a sleepaway course.
Sleepaway course for big kids. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for that course. So you shall be invited.
Right. And we'll see a bunch of you folks in Costa Rica on Saturday.
All right. Let's go back with our buddy Walt.
Yes.
Walt, how old is Logan now?
Well, at this time of the recording, he's 8 months.
8 months. So it'll be a little bit after. He'll be a little older by the time this airs because we're pre-recording it.
Yep.
You told me a really cool story about when he was crying, and he was not particularly consolable. Well, you want to tell people about it? Do you remember it?
Is that the one about burning the world down?
Yep.
That happened again last night, by the way.
Oh, well, see, you're just getting ready.
Yeah, this Logan, our son, has been amazing since he's been born. So our normal, standard operating procedure is he goes to bed by 8 o'clock latest. Normally he sleeps till 4:30 in the morning. Like he'll sleep through the night. But of course, there's times that he doesn't. And he was just up one night and just would not go to sleep. He was just, he's crying. I have no idea because he has no way to communicate to us other than crying. So my first instinct is to snatch him up and love him, and show him some love. And at this time, when this happened the first time, his motor skills weren't very, very good. He was still flopping around and, he couldn't control himself like he does now. But I had him scooped up on my shoulder and he looks at me, sticks his thumb in his mouth, buries his face into my neck. Then he literally hugs my neck. So these little tiny arms go around my neck, and all I hear and feel on my neck is him going, just snorting, and then instantly he gets really heavy and he's snoring. It ripped my heart out, and my first thought was, kid, I will burn this world down for you. Woo, man, I'm getting all teary-eyed thinking about it. That was crazy. And basically the same thing happened last night. And I picked him up and he did the same thing. And then I sat in our glider rocker we have in the bedroom, and he laid on my chest. And he's radioactive like I am. He's like a little oven. This dude, yeah, he is hot all the time. So I can feel his heat. And then again, he gets heavy and starts snoring. And oh my God, you guys. I know there's people out there that know what I'm talking about. and there's just no words to put how to describe how you feel. That this little being, this little dude, like depends on you, depends on me, like loves and trusts me to take care of him in that manner, so it's really cool. Yeah, he's a cool dude. And
You know something, Walt, you take for granted something that you have that most folks don't. And
what's that?
that is that you have discovered how to be where you are. So you become a safe haven, a safe space to relax into, because you're not going anywhere and you're calming yourself and you're not worried or in an upset all the time. See, when we first met you, you were upset most of the time, because you were normal. But as you discover how to live in the current moment of your life, your upsets start to dissolve just because they're old mechanical behaviors that if you bring the light of awareness to, they dissolve, they complete themselves. Nothing to do about it. Most people resist having upsets. So therefore, first principle, anything you resist, persists, grows stronger, and you live with that.
And then you naturally resist your son's upsets the same way you'd resist your own. But now that you've fallen into yourself, I imagine that you weren't sitting with him with an agenda preeminent to get him to go to sleep. That, of course, you prefer that he wasn't distressed and, he would have a good night. But my guess is you were hanging with the little dude.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, Shia, going to what you said about like, if I'm upset or if Val is upset, he's a perfect little barometer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because he doesn't know any different. If I'm upset, he's going to be upset. Like if I'm upset and I grab him, he gets all upset because he can feel that I'm upset, and that don't get you anywhere.
Well, you see, most people that have children, when the kids act out, they think there's something wrong with the kids, rather than they need to look at their relationship in that moment and see how they're relating, because how they're relating, the kid is a barometer of that.
Yeah, and our friend Lenore made a comment when Logan was, it's kind of funny to say when Logan was young because he's 8 months old, but when he was smaller, and he's still the same now. He's just chill all the time. He's just happy and he's just relaxed and he just kind of hangs out.
Well, that's the environment he's living in. See,
Exactly.
Is that what Lenore said?
Yep, because we were all hanging out and I said, Lenore, look at him. This is amazing. I don't have anything to go on. This is my first child, but this is kind of cool. Look, he's just hanging out. And she looks at me and she goes, he's a product of his environment. You and Val aren't hollering and screaming and rushing around and throwing things and acting up and all that. And I go,
and the other thing is you're not blaming each other for how you feel.
Well, I want to go back to something you said because it was quite profound, but I'm afraid some people might have misunderstood it. And so it came back to me now when you said, I can't go back and fix the past. And you said, I can't go back and fix this morning. So I just go, oh, well, and I go move on. Some people might have heard that as a rather cavalier thing, or to be more specific, if you had said something grouchy or short to Val, and then you're now driving to work, I guarantee you didn't mean, oh, well, I can't fix it now. Oh, well, I'm just moving on. That's not what Walt meant. I guarantee you he can't go back. And if he said something snippy or grouchy, he can't go back and ungrouch himself. But I'd be really shocked if he didn't call
and
or
apologize.
Go back and apologize and say, hey, that was really off. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And
whoops,
we just lost your sound.
Oops, you muted you. You're muted.
Unmute yourself.
Somehow you got muted. How did you get muted?
You're still muted according to this.
Hmm.
Ah,
there we
Walt's
are.
back.
Okay.
Oh, I can't hear you though.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Can
you
you
can't-
hear
No,
me?
there we go.
Yeah, okay.
There we go. Not sure what happened there.
Oh, well,
Um,
we're talking about having to apologize. That's enough to knock anybody out of the,
Yeah, no kidding, right? But with
It doesn't cost anything to apologize, except maybe your
Well-
ego.
God, I was going to say that. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, it costs something. It costs you to.
Think alike.
I agree,
because
but I say it all the time. Is it'll cost you something. It'll cost you checking your ego. You got to put your ego to the side and go, "Whew, that was on me. Sorry, baby." And then what? And now most of the time you're good, but depending on your situation. But what I was talking about was something that would happen at work, and I see this in my coworkers, and it's hard to explain to them. They'll say, well, this customer did X, did this to this truck, to this dealer. And I'll say, when did that happen? Well, 2 days ago. Oh, what are you going to do about it now? Well, this, and this should have been this, and they should have done. Dude, you can't do anything about that now, man. You gotta move on from that. But not everybody thinks the way I do.
When you say that, it reminds me of a Zen story about two monks that are walking down a dirt road and they come to a river. And there's this woman there and she's thinking about how to get across the river. And one of the monks picks her up and carries her across and sets her down on the other side. And then the two monks continue walking on their journey. And that night, the monk that didn't pick the woman up says to the monk that did, brother, we have a vow that we're not supposed to touch women. And the first monk said, I set her down on the other side of the river. Are you still carrying her?
I like that.
Right.
but you go first.
I have a personal story on that. Valerie, my wife, she was having trouble with a person. This was a couple of years ago. And she was asking me about it. It was at night. We talked about it. We were talking about it. We're laying in bed. She's still talking about it. And I turned to her and I go, this bed's pretty crowded. And she looks at me and I go, the person is here with us. This bed's not big enough for three. And she's like, oh my God, thank you, baby. I didn't even look at it that way. I go, kick her out of bed, man. I don't like her in bed with us.
See, that's the thing. When you resist something, you bring it to bed with you.
That is so true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was noticing last night, I had a hard time sleeping last night because in my head, I was singing Garth Brooks songs all night. Now I like Garth Brooks, but it gets a little boring.
I'm a big Garth Brooks fan.
Well, maybe he was getting ready for you. He could sing you lyrics from just about any of them. Well,
yeah, same here. I still play him to this day. I enjoy Garth Brooks.
Me too. It's one of the few concerts we ever went to, actually.
Oh, really? Was he that?
Down in Philadelphia.
And down in Philly.
I remember seeing him when he opened up for. I can't remember her name, but he was the opening act. I remember seeing him when he was an opening act.
Oh, that's great. What we found so interesting about Garth Brooks, when we left the amphitheater that it was at, and there were all these cars, and people were so considerate.
No, you go first. No, you go first.
It was really wild.
I got to get out of here.
It was really wild. He's a very
set
cool
tone.
dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Super. been really a treat being with you today.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, this is awesome. I enjoy hanging out with you guys. I know it's been a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we could spend some time together.
Hey, tell people about your podcast.
That's right.
Where to find it, how to subscribe to it. So, because you're a cool dude.
Oh, thanks. It was so Walt's Kitchen Table, and that has really nothing to do with food. The premises of it is me personally growing up. I learned so much just from the kitchen table, being at the kitchen table. My mom held court at the kitchen table. She was judge, jury, and executioner, and everything happened. So I always talk about that life lessons, conversations, stories, laughs. You cried, you laughed more. All that happened at the kitchen table. So the theory behind my show was, come sit at my kitchen table and let's have a conversation. Let's just an organic conversation. I don't really care what you're into. Let's talk about it, because everybody you meet knows something that you don't. And if you take a minute and actually listen to what they're talking about, you find out some pretty cool things.
Yep.
So that's the basis of the show. It's the best place to find everything is my website, waltskitchentable.com. You can get to every platform. It's on every platform you can imagine. YouTube, you can see the videos I create with the guests. We do it on a hybrid version of Zoom where you can put artwork and all that kind of thing and brand it and put tickers across the bottom like on a TV show and all that. So I've been enjoying that. What's that?
You got good swag, good giveaways too.
Yeah. I like my merch store. It is hoodie weather, just saying. Nudge, nudge, hint, hint. But yeah, that's the basis of the show. I truly enjoy sitting like we are talking and the conversation. I had no idea what we were going to talk about, and I didn't even think about it until you guys came on.
Yeah,
Neither did we. That makes it spontaneous and real rather than rehearsed.
Yeah, I don't consider my platform an interview style platform. I consider it a conversation. And when I talk to people to invite them on, they'll say, what are we going to talk about? Because I can't tell you how many people are like, you got to give me some bullet points. Just sit down, man. I'll drive the conversation. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Imagine if you're sitting at a coffee shop or a bar, restaurant, whatever, and I come sit next to you at the stool and we just start having a conversation.
You mean if you sit down at a stool, you don't require somebody to hand you bullet points before you start having
well, yeah, exactly. But it tells me a lot about people that are coming on if they want structure. Mm-hmm. It gives me a little insight of their life when they're like, I'm not coming on unless you give me complete structure. All right, man, have a good day. I'll send you details, but you're not the conversation I'm looking for. I've tried that, and it's really tough for me I can't be in that format. I've been on other podcasts where they're like, okay, this is the structure. I'm the guest. They're like, this is the structure. And I completely blow up the structure, because I go, you got to keep me reined in. If you want me on a time limit and you want specific questions, you got to be like, all right, to the next question. Oh, okay, I guess. Okay, go ahead, ask it, because I just love just ranting and having a good time and laughing and talking about whatever comes up. So that's the idea of the podcast.
Thank you. I had one thing that came to mind that I wanted to go back around and circle to, because I know that people can hear your love and respect for not only your son, but your wife, Valerie. And it occurs to me around about the time you were coming up at looking at whether or not you wanted to keep drinking, and you felt it wasn't supportive of you. I know that she was really honest with you about that it wasn't working, that she
Mhm.
didn't judge you, but she didn't, my guess is, I wasn't there, but this is my idea. She wasn't holding back for fear you'd leave her, you wouldn't like her, you'd get mad at her, that she was straightforward with you. And at the same time, it's an interesting balance of trying to not change you, but to be honest.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, obviously I remember the conversation, and she just made it clear that that's not the life that she wants to live. And
I say good for her.
oh yeah, absolutely. And she didn't know, obviously she knows it now, but our first date, I wasn't just intoxicated on alcohol, I was intoxicated on drugs. And after a couple days after our first date, I went, I like this woman, and she's not going to put up with my drug use. And that was a lot. And she didn't even know it. And that was the last time I did drugs.
That's great.
Yep.
And
I
that
was like,
speaks for her greatness. It speaks to yours.
thanks. Yeah. She does not mind speaking her mind, which is great. I love it. So,
Well, you're
yeah.
a big guy, a in yourself guy that she can feel comfortable being straight and
Well,
telling her truth.
you're not going to take
You're not-
yourself away and punish her for telling you the truth.
You're not suppressing her with threat of upset. And
That's a huge gift.
yeah,
That keeps a relationship alive.
Yeah. And now, in all honesty, there's been some times, she'd say something to me and I'd stomp my foot and act like a 5-year-old for a minute. But, it's not all bells and whistles, of course. It's a relationship, but it takes, I think it, again, to check my ego. Is this what I want? And that's what I want. I want a relationship with this woman. And,
I
she's
don't
Valerie.
blame you. She's a
What's
beauty.
that?
I don't blame you wanting a relationship with that woman. She's a beauty in all ways.
but I love what you related, that she said, this is not the life I want to live. This is not, Walt, you need to change. This is her saying, I don't want to live this way. And then it gives you a choice. And wow, hats off.
And congratulations on
Yeah, thanks.
being strong in yourselves. I'm not saying being stubborn. I'm talking about the courage it takes to be honest
and vulnerable,
and for what you want in your life.
like when your little man goes.
Oh, yeah. But the thing too is having trust in Valerie, because I always say she was Valerie before she's my wife, so I like to, she's to have trust in Val for me to open up and to be honest and to be vulnerable, that she's not going to tear me down.
Well, part of that's having trust in you, because you
That's
picked her.
right. You picked her. You're a good
No,
picker, Walt.
She picked me, dude. You know that. Men don't pick women.
Yes, but they.
Yes and no.
Yeah, a lot of women picked me that I walked away from.
Oh, good point. I didn't think of that. See? Yeah.
Oh, yes, but
And I picked a lot of guys that it didn't stick with. So
Yeah. But I'm overflowing with gratitude with my, my family and my health, my job. It's awesome. I can't.
we're happy for you.
and we're grateful you were
Thank
here
you.
with us today.
Yes, so thank you very much for joining us.
Really a treat.
Oh, anytime. Thank you.
Mhm.
Our
You're
pleasure.
very welcome. If you would like to be a guest like what was today, or if you'd like to submit a listener spotlight, or if you even want to suggest a topic for being here, you can go up to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here and find out how. Next week's episode
Is success.
Oh, it's good. We started. I declare this one a success.
It was.
And we'll
is.
be back next week.
So come on back.
And don't miss
Being here.